What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining me for the second installment of the Room 9 Shorty series. And today I want to talk to you about shame, vulnerability, and just naming what is slowing us down. So I'm going to grab a cup of coffee and we're going to get after it. I'll see you on the other side. Peace! This is so much better than the Keurig coffee, I promise you. Trying to face the pain that we have caused, not only ourselves, other people, obviously isn't easy. Obviously is a very difficult task. And it's one of the hardest things we can do as an individual, whether it's staying clean from a substance use or just trying to move on in our individuality, or whether it's trying to do anything in our life as far as being progressive and moving forward. I mean, we're always trying to avoid and find something to use as escapism because we don't want to look at the things that we have messed up or the things that people have messed up for us. And it's a continuous cycle, and it's so difficult to break. I mean, my cycle, like I said, was divorce, was shame. I tried to numb that, started heavy using of drugs, started heavier using of drugs, stealing, then lying, then manipulating, and using heavier drugs. And then I got clean at my parents, but I didn't want to talk about anything. So I stopped using. I said, all right, well, let's not talk about all the screwed up things I did and all the people I hurt and all the lying and manipulating and stealing I did. We'll sweep that underneath the carpet. We'll just put that there, try to walk around it, try to walk over it, not talk about it. And what happened? I got clean. I couldn't escape it anymore. I had no way of escaping. So what did I do? 3-4 weeks later, started using again. I relapsed and went right back at it. And this cycle just goes and goes and goes. It continues to eat you up and swallow you. And the longer you stay away from it, the bigger it gets. And you just want to get away from it, so you start escaping even harder than you were before, and it's just over and over again. Then you stop doing it, and then the shame and guilt and everything hits you, and then you got to try to face that, and you don't want to face that or talk about that, so what do? You start back all over. And this is a seemingly never-ending cycle that we all have to deal with. So how do you stop it? How do you get rid of it? How do you make this cycle end? How do you learn to face it? How do you even begin to face it? Well, that I'm going to talk about, at least how I did it. The first thing I had to do was learn to stop ignoring the things that caused me harm, the things that I didn't want to talk about, the things that when I ignored them, they would get bigger and become harder and harder to talk about. These things were so difficult to do because you have to become, well, vulnerable. But naming things is kind of like the cliche saying, oh, congratulations, the first step to quitting is admitting. Which, it's a cliche, once again, for a reason, because, well, it's true. You can't take care of something. You can't fix something until you say, hey, there's the problem. I can't fix something in my car until I realize, oh, it's the brakes. Oh, it's the rotors. An unpaid bill never gets paid. If you ignore a bill, what happens? You get late fees. It gets sent to a collector's. It gets your credit score lowered. It just makes things worse. And that's the same thing for stuff in our lives. That's the same thing for the wrong that I've done to people. It's the same thing for the things that people have done wrong to me. And it really reminds me of this kid's book that I heard somebody talk about before called There's No Such Thing as Dragons. And in this book, this kid wakes up and he has a dragon at the end of his bed about the size of a cat. And he goes, Mom, 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 there's a dragon in my room. And Mom goes, there's no such thing as dragons, honey. So the dragon got bigger. And he goes down for breakfast and he's eating his pancakes. And the dragon eats all his pancakes. And he goes, Mom, the dragon ate my pancakes. And the mom goes, honey, there's no such thing as dragons. And the dragon got bigger. And this keeps happening and happening until the dragon gets so big, it rips the house off the foundation. And the house is running down the street with the dragon. And that husband and father comes home and he goes, honey, there's a dragon in the house. And the dragon got smaller. And the more they talked about this dragon, it gets smaller and smaller. And that is the exact same thing with our lives. When we have a little issue and we don't talk about it, it turns into something bigger. And then it turns into something bigger. And then you get resentful. And then you grow hatred over this little thing that maybe was just you wanted your girlfriend or your boyfriend to fold his clothes a little sooner. And something so little can turn into something so huge because we didn't want to be vulnerable and open and honest and just talk about something that is bothering us. So ignoring the wrong you have done, ignoring the mistakes you have made will never make anything better. And what does this take from us? Well, it takes us a willingness to walk into vulnerability. And vulnerability is the birthplace for creativity. It's the birthplace for innovation. It's where connection is only possible. Vulnerability is being able to open your eyes and say, you know what? I have an ugly side. I have a dark side, but that's also the same thing that makes me who I am. That's also what makes me beautiful. Vulnerability is connection. And you know what is disconnection? You know what drives disconnection is shame and guilt and all those other things that we don't ever want to talk about. Shame is one of those things that everyone has it. The less you talk about it, the more you have. Because what happens when we don't talk about things? They get bigger. Problems become bigger. I think about a lot like a married couple and one of them is having not a divorce, one of them is having an affair. And sometimes you can look back and trace these problems back sometimes and see it started with maybe one of the partners just wanted to have more sex but couldn't be vulnerable and open enough to talk about it. So what does he do? Or what does she do? They stuff it down, they don't talk about it, they become resentful, they become distant, and then they run into somebody who gives them attention, and then all of a sudden, bam, 14-year relationship, 14-year marriage down the drain. Because we didn't want to talk about one little thing that bothered us in the beginning. And we all have that voice of, I'm not blank enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough. We all have that voice, and it keeps us from expressing how we feel. It keeps us in shame, it keeps us in disconnection. But when we allow ourselves to be seen for who we are, when we can just live in a place of authenticity and be vulnerable and be open and be honest, this transforms ugliness into beauty. And this is the only way to ever have true and honest connection. And that's what we all want in life, is connection. But I know it's not easy, I know it's tough, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And this isn't something I'm perfect at. I'm a very passive human being. It takes so much for me to reach out, stick my neck out and be like, hey, what you said bothered me, especially the people I'm closest to. But when you do that, it is so freeing, it is so beautiful, it is so amazing. And I really feel like this is where we all want to escape, and just whether it's substance use, whether it's depression, whether it's overeating, whether it's just watching Netflix or playing video games too much, it's because of this, and because we don't want to be open and vulnerable, and we don't want to face the terrible, difficult things in our life, whether the things that we've done to other people or the things that people have done to us. It's time to start talking about it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like the video. Leave a comment, that'd be even cooler. Head out to room9podcast.com, see what we got going on. But I really wanted to put this video out there to just talk about vulnerability. I don't think it's talked about enough. And we've all seen the Brene Brown TED Talks, but I think we need to discuss it more. And it's something that we need to really feel connected and to really be our true, authentic selves. So thank you once again for watching. Please share it, send it out there. Let's spread the message of love and vulnerability and connection and everything else that feels great and makes us become better. All right, peace out. Later.